You find yourself staring down the barrel of a loaded gun. With few options available to save yourself, your life begins to flash before your eyes. Then you notice a gun exploding in a cartoon you were watching as a kid, having had its barrel plugged by the hero. You ask yourself, can a digit, a hand, or any other readily available item really save your bacon? Indeed, is there anything that can be stuffed into a gun to make it go boom rather than bang? I'm Stu, this is Debunked, and we're here to sort the truths from the myths and the facts from the misconceptions. This video is sponsored by War Thunder. Specifically poking a finger into the business end of a firearm to scupper a trigger-happy assailant is a well-worn trope.
Come on or I'll blast you out!
Particularly in cartoons. Many classic examples can be found throughout the Looney Tunes series, or that famous cat and mouse double act, often resulting in the barrel bursting and peeling like a banana and the attacker ending up worse off than their target. Live action versions of this commonplace cliché often don't show the follow-through, with the situation being diffused before the trigger is ever pulled. But those that do show some pretty gruesome results. We even see it with large caliber guns in movies, cartoons, and video games. So, firstly, exactly what would happen if you attempted to block a gunshot with a finger, thumb, or hand? Frankly, the answer is unlikely to shock you, but let's first take a look at how guns work to understand the physics behind the theory. While there are many different types of gun, varying wildly in their operation, the vast majority propel bullets using an explosive charge that rapidly generates gas at high pressure within the barrel. When the trigger is pulled, it causes a firing pin to strike the bottom of the round. In the center is the primer. Striking this creates a spark, which ignites a propellant. This in turn produces gas behind the bullet that expands almost instantaneously. Because the gases are confined within the gun, they force the bullet out of the barrel at high speeds towards the target. Guns are designed to safely contain these gases produced by compatible ammunition. The idea that a blocked gun muzzle could cause the barrel to explode supposes that, with nowhere for either the bullet or expanding gases to escape, the internal pressure within the barrel increases to a degree that it cannot tolerate, causing it to catastrophically rupture. The thing is, guns are effective as weapons because metal bullets are far denser than any part of the human body. Though they are light, most bullets weigh only a few grams. When travelling at high speed, bullets tear through flesh and shatter bones with ease. Fingers and thumbs are no exception. It doesn't help that most gun barrels are much more narrow than the average adult finger, so it's much more likely that you'll be pressing the tip of your finger against the muzzle rather than into it. This does not provide a tight seal at all, and when the trigger is pulled, the bullet will just rip straight through your finger, allowing the gas to vent, limiting damage to the barrel. Not that this will come as a surprise to anyone at all, but the internet is crawling with stories of people accidentally shooting off their digits. In 2014, former professional baseball player Jose Canseco shot off part of his finger while cleaning a gun he didn't realise was still loaded. Only a few weeks later, in 2015, a police officer at a gun store in the US state of Kentucky shot part of his finger off while handling a weapon he thought was empty. Unsurprisingly, the state of the guns themselves is not worth mentioning. Guns simply do not suffer substantial damage when encountering blockages made of human meat. You may be thinking, well, this only illustrates that fingers are not able to obstruct the bullet fired from a pistol, weapons with barrels that are far too small to actually plug a finger into. Well, everyone's favourite pop scientists, the Mythbusters, explored this quandary multiple times with a shotgun. The team repeatedly fired guns plugged with finger analogues, made primarily of ballistics gel. The most damage the gun sustained was minor bulging just behind the muzzle, while the fake hands were utterly obliterated. Ultimately, fingers are not strong enough to contain the gases or the bullet, so sufficient pressure cannot build to blow the barrel. However, soft fleshy fingers are obviously not the only thing that can block a gun barrel. But before we find out what sorts of substances can cause a gun to catastrophically fail in a comically cartoon fashion, we're going to introduce you to War Thunder. War Thunder is the most comprehensive vehicle combat game available. It offers you the chance to sit at the helm of the most powerful war machines ever made, across 10 major nations, from biplanes to jet fighters and helicopters to warships. But what's most relevant to our video is the range of tanks you can take control of, with over 2,500 available. When you connect to the worldwide community of over 70 million users, you can join epic player versus player battles. And because it has one of the most sophisticated vehicle damage models in gaming, you can try targeting your opponents and blowing up some tank cannons to create the iconic banana peel effect. It has 3 distinct game modes to suit every player, so if you're a more casual first-time player, then you can hop into arcade mode where physics are simplified and the game is more fast-paced. It's available to play for free on PC, PlayStation or Xbox. Use my link in the description to sign up now, and for a limited time, new players and those who haven't played in the last 6 months will receive a free bonus pack across all platforms. This includes multiple premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator, a stack of free game currency points, and 7 days of premium account. Make sure you don't miss it. See what I did there? Right, back to blocked guns going boom. Other substances like soil, rocks or other detritus can travel deeper down the barrel and form much larger blockages. The bigger and more solid the blockage, the more likely it is that the pressure created from firing could overwhelm the barrel. In fact, Bugs Bunny's preferred produce plug was tested by Matt over at Demolition Ranch. And while Bugs would end up a pretty dead wabbit, it would have been the last time Fudd used his gun. Indeed, the risks that are associated with a blocked barrel have been known for quite a long time. Way back in 1880, a Scottish scientist and engineer by the name of George Forbes published an article for the Royal Society of Edinburgh, with the title,
"On the bursting of firearms when the muzzle is closed by snow, earth, grease, etc."
The article is a theoretical explanation for why gun barrels sometimes explode when blocked. One section of the article goes as follows.
It is well known that if an ordinary fowling piece, charged with shot or ball, have touched the ground or snow so as to close the muzzle of the gun, or if the muzzle of the gun be in any way artificially closed with grease or other substances, the fowling piece is certain to burst at the muzzle when it is discharged.
That Forbes describes the phenomenon of bursting barrels as
well known
clearly indicates that, at least in his day, exploding gun barrels were not altogether uncommon. Even everyday substances, such as soil, can provide enough resistance in the moment of firing that the pressures inside the barrel overwhelm its structural integrity. Of course, one might naturally contend that perhaps exploding gun barrels were more frequent in Forbes' day because guns manufactured prior to 1880 may not have been as robust as their modern-day counterparts. Fast forward 100 years or so, and we find ballistics expert Tom Roster, who conducted a series of tests to find out how much excess pressure it would take before the barrel of a modern shotgun exploded. His weapon of choice was a Remington Model 870 12-gauge with barrels chambered for 3-inch shells. This model is designed for a maximum allowable pressure of 11,500 psi, but is proofed up to 19,800 psi. Roster increased the gun load in increments of 5,000 psi. Nothing happened until he reached 55,000 psi.
They would blow up spectacularly, banana peeling into multiple segments forward of the chamber.
So, can a simple blockage create these sorts of pressures and blow a modern shotgun barrel? Yes, and this can happen with cannons too.
Detritus like mud can become lodged and compacted down inside the barrel, providing enough resistance upon firing to generate pressures the gun simply cannot withstand. Several YouTubers have put this to the test, and depending on the thickness of the barrel walls of the shotgun, around 2 inches of wet mud is enough to produce the banana peel effect. Another type of very dangerous blockage is that of squib loads. Squib loads are rounds that, upon firing, do not have enough energy to propel the bullet out of the barrel, causing it to become lodged inside. If the person shooting the gun doesn't notice that the barrel is not clear, firing again can cause the barrel to violently rupture or even explode. Squib loads can be caused by poor quality manufacturing, by old, deteriorated rounds, or ammunition that has been submerged in water. Even small amounts of moisture leaking into the round can dampen the explosive components, causing problems with firing and, on occasion, squib loads. Shotgun shells in particular are more susceptible to this, as they are constructed with wadding in between the powder and shot. If the wadding gets wet, it can easily get stuck inside the barrel upon firing. As ballistics expert Tom Roster demonstrated, using incorrect ammunition can also cause barrels to blow up if they create pressures that the gun was not designed to withstand. And as we hinted at earlier, these issues do not only affect firearms, aka guns that a person can carry and operate individually. Large caliber guns that are planted on the ground or fixed to heavy vehicles, also known as cannons, work on the exact same principles as firearms and suffer many of the same pitfalls. Naturally, this is also represented in cartoons, but probably most famously, the 1989 action-adventure classic Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, where Indy stuffs a rock into a tank cannon. And more recently in X-Men Origins Wolverine, with a superhuman mutant fist. While deliberately blocking a cannon presents far greater challenges than a small firearm barrel, explosions from blockages can and do happen. One example of a British naval cannon from 1956 is available to see today. Its clearly mangled muzzle was caused by a squib load, demonstrating that blocked barrels are also a danger for larger, heftier guns. Indeed, there are so many historical photos of tanks with burst barrels that you'd think this was a relatively common occurrence. But, more often than not, there's more to the story than first meets the eye. If we take this relatively well-known example of a US M4 Sherman tank that still stands on its resting site today, while this barrel actually ruptured under the pressure of its own ammunition fire, an eyewitness from the attacking Panzer Division explains the whole story.
From the first Panzer shot, the shell hit here on the M4 Sherman, and it actually bounced back, so instead of a hit, it bounced up. It must have hit the tube, because when the Sherman tank fired, its barrel burst.
But what about the banana peel effect we see as a result of Indy's resourcefulness? Is that just pure Hollywood fantasy? Well, surprisingly not. An account from World War II by Bert Hookey of the 57th Wessex Anti-Aircraft Regiment captured the result of a premature shell explosion in his 3.7-inch cannon, which produced the iconic banana peel effect.
But what about blockages?
While we don't know the stories behind many of the genuine photographic examples that are available on the web, we do have a first-hand account of one of the more well-photographed examples from the Korean War. The account is retold by US rifleman Daniel Cooper in Fighting on the Brink, Defense of the Pusan Perimeter. After a battle along a narrow valley dubbed the Bowling Alley the previous night, Cooper and 3 other riflemen were sent to disable the main gun of a damaged North Korean tank, a Soviet-made T-34, that they'd seen an enemy repair crew working on the previous night. They decided not to open the hatch for fear of booby trap, and with nothing else to hand, they opted to stuff mud down the barrel. As Cooper recalls the events, when the North Koreans returned to use the tank that night,
They fired one shot, and that was the end of that barrel and anyone else that was standing around. The picture of that tank with the flared barrel made the Associated Press, Life magazine and all.
just like your average shotgun, blockages like mud can create a strong enough seal to create pressures that overwhelm the cannon, and once again give that banana peel effect straight out of Looney Tunes. So, while it's almost impossible for a finger stuffed in the muzzle of a gun to cause a gun's barrel to fully explode, other types of blockages constitute a real and present danger when it comes to guns. They might be rare, but they do happen, and can easily result in significant injuries or worse.
Don't try any of this at home, folks.
please check out today's sponsor, War Thunder, and get blowing up some tank barrels. Remember, you can play the game now for free on PC, PlayStation, or Xbox using my link in the pinned comment or video description. Those of you who are new to the game and those that haven't played in the last 6 months will receive a massive bonus pack including premium vehicles, an exclusive vehicle decorator, a stack of free game currency points, and 7 days of premium account. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.